The community of Pienaar outside Mbombela in Mpumalanga is holding or is expected to hold a memorial service this afternoon of the two kids who were allegedly murdered by an 18-year-old suspect. The bodies of 6-year-old Nhlanhla and 3-year-old Peaceful Khoza were exhumed last week after they had gone missing. The community apprehended the suspect who led them to the shallow graves of both the children. The police confirmed that the remains of Mabandla were found buried in another person's grave at a local cemetery with some body parts missing after he had been missing since early last month. Meanwhile, the suspect has since been apprehended in connection with the two murders. All right, for more we cross to my colleague and SABC News reporter Nhlanhla Jele. Good afternoon, Nhlanhla. Has the memorial service started? And tell us how it's going, please. We're trying to get hold of my colleague Nhlanhla Jele, who is attending the memorial service of those two young kids, Peaceful as well as Junior, who were found exhumed. A very, very heart-wrenching story indeed. My colleague Nhlanhla Jele is at the memorial service, which is expected to take place, or currently should be taking place right now. And we're trying to get hold of him to find out if he can give us the latest on that. On your screen, there's both the children that have unfortunately were killed by this 18-year-old suspect. Nhlanhla, I believe that Nhlanhla is now available to speak to us. Nhlanhla, hello and welcome to On Point. Nhlanhla, tell us about how it is going there with the memorial service. The community must be out in numbers at this point.
Good afternoon to you, Diabo, and to our viewers at home. Indeed, community is out in their numbers. If you can see behind me, some are still making their way into the church where the memorial service of 3-year-old Peaceful Khoza and 6-year-old Junior Mabandla is expected to take place here this morning. We do know that last week the remains of Junior Mabandla, who went missing early in June, was found. This after a suspect was apprehended by the community. Also, this suspect is the same one who was also linked to the murder and disappearance of Peaceful. If you remember, on that fatal day when Peaceful's body or remains were also found, he was seen walking with the little girl during the day, only for the family later on to say that the child has not come back. Later on in the evening, that's when community members said, no, but we saw this person walking with this 3-year-old. So that's when he led them to where he had allegedly killed and buried the little girl. Obviously, the community say when they got to that spot, they found that it was burning. So it turns out he had raped and killed and actually set the body on fire. He later on, this was after he was beat up by community members, Diabo also showed them the grave of Junior, who went missing early in June. If you remember correctly, when Junior went missing, the community came out in their numbers trying to find where he disappeared to, looking for him. They even held protests that week, just trying to encourage the police to come on board to also assist them just to find his remains. As you know, as I've said, this is where the memorial service. I'll just move out of the shot just to show you people who are just making their way into this church where the service is expected to start right now in about 5 minutes. We do know that the family members of both the children are also making their way, and as you can see, these learners obviously are on holiday because they're returning to school tomorrow, but I'm sure some of them are classmates to these children whose memorial service is taking place here today, this afternoon, Diabo. As you can see, we're just trying to follow them as they're making their way into the church. We do know that the suspect was beat up by the community before he got saved by the police after he confessed to killing and burying both the children. He was expected to appear in court on Friday, but because of his injuries, Diabo, he could not make it to court. We also understand that he's still in hospital recovering obviously from the beating that he got from the community, and also he's expected to go back to court on the 15th of July, which is next week Monday, to apply for bail. But at the current moment, the suspect is in hospital. He is expected obviously, as I mentioned, to make his appearance on the 15th of July. Diabo?
Take us through, maybe give us a rough picture of what Pienaar, what kind of a community that is, and if things like killings for Muti is something that has come out of these, from what the police have told you. Do we have a little bit more information of what the motive could have been for the suspect to have killed two young children like this? Is something that has occurred before in the community? What kind of a community are we talking about here of Pienaar?
At the moment, Diabo, we do not have any motive for exactly why these incidents happened, but we do know, and we saw on Facebook or social media rather, that the boy was saying that he was sent by his mother and stepfather to do these killings. However, his mother and the stepfather also came out and said they don't know anything, actually distancing themselves from the incident, saying this boy, this 18-year-old boy, is mentally disabled. That is why he killed, allegedly killed these two kids. But at the moment, we really do not have any palpable motive as to why these killings were happening. This is the kind of community that is closely knitted together, Diabo, as you have heard, as you have seen over the weeks. When kids go disappearing or go missing on that same day, information goes out, even on social media it goes out, and people start mobilizing, working with the police, others working on their own, obviously, Diabo, to try and assist these families. As you have heard, as I've mentioned earlier, when Junior went missing, there was a community protest where they closed the roads, barricading the streets with burning tires and debris, just to ensure that they try and find and get the attention of political parties, of political leaders, and of the police to try and assist the family in finding Junior. The same thing happened with when Peaceful went missing last week. One community member pointed out to that 18-year-old suspect who was caught by the police, and that's when he came out and confessed to all these gruesome killings, and obviously pointing out to the graves. What we do know and understand, Diabo, is that there are 5 actually children that this boy, this 18-year-old, has allegedly killed and buried. It is expected that he's going to make a point into 3 more graves where he allegedly killed and buried these kids. At the moment, we do not have much information about when exactly the pointing out or the exhumation of these 3 other bodies is going to take place. Obviously, we're still waiting for that information from the police, and obviously for him to recover in hospital and make his second appearance in court next week.